everyone, Chris T here from the Depot bringing you our 2020 year in review, and what a year it's been. In this video, much like the 2019 year in review, we'll take a look at the stats and information from our Plus servers for the entire year. Some new statistical categories have been added and tracked for 2020, which is a good thing because due to the state of the world during these unprecedented times, you guys put in an astounding amount of work. We'll look at these numbers and point out any interesting statistical anomalies we see. These numbers are a culmination of your hard work and dedication to running with us all year long. So thanks to everyone who ran with us and helped make the Depot what it is. First up, let's take a look at our active members. During the course of this review, you'll very easily see how the numbers are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. During the spring, many of us were stuck at home and had more free time in our hands. So for April, we hit a record high of 162 active members. Then our inactive member check occurred in June, and as you can see, many returned as the world was still slowly getting back to normal and people went back to work. We still finished 2020 with 146 active users, more than we had at the end of 2019. Next is the total service hours, and feel free to pause this video at any time to get a better look at the information in these slides. There's a lot to cover this year. Service hours are calculated from when you crew a train in the operations center to when you tie it down, show it completed, or delete it from the OC. At the bottom of the graph, you'll see the yearly total for all users across all servers. And the yearly total comes in at 28,751 hours, beating out last year's total by almost 4,500 hours. And that hourly total comes out to 1,198 days worth of running trains. As with most of the graphs in the presentation, April will have had the best numbers of the year. 3,574 hours were logged in April alone. As is usually the case, SoCal comes out on top, but all our servers saw an increase in usage this year. Up next is Trains Crude. The Trains Crude statistic is simply tracked from when a train is crewed to when it's tied down, completed, or deleted from the OC. You guys did this a staggering 19,156 times, beating 2019's number by over 1,000 trains. This covers all road trains, locals, MOW trains, yard jobs, and Amtrak trains. With no new releases this year, the big jump in numbers comes from the lockdowns, and April rules with 2,259 trains. But even beyond April's big spike, the rest of the year remains consistent on all three servers. Even Mohawk's low early summer numbers rebound, and they gained some ground going into the winter. And the A line finished with a very strong November and December. Now we'll look at orders delivered. Orders delivered will be the amount of customer orders that were delivered to a customer, not the total amount of cars. That will be covered shortly. Whenever you show an order delivered in the OC, that number is reflected here. We don't have a slide for orders picked up because that number will be very similar to these numbers here, so you can use the delivered numbers as a benchmark for the pickups as well. And no surprise the numbers are higher with 13,440 orders delivered through the course of 2020. Interestingly, SoCal actually saw a decrease in orders from 2019. There's a downward trend through the summer that starts to recover into the late fall, early winter. From looking at last year's numbers for total cars delivered, it looks like large orders were delivered, which would result in less total orders but more cars. However, both the A-Line and Mohawk beat last year's numbers with 2,119 and 1,497 orders respectively. The summer slump seen on SoCal isn't as obvious with these two servers. September was a slow month on the A-Line while Mohawk remained relatively consistent during the fall. On to cars delivered. The number of cars delivered differs from the orders delivered in that this keeps track of the actual number of cars spotted at customer facilities. And, just like the orders delivered, the number of cars picked up isn't tracked. The number should be relatively close, so as before, we'll use it as a benchmark for pickups as well. All servers saw an increase in cars delivered. 88,569 total cars made it to customer facilities in 2020. That's up over 8,000 cars from 2019. SoCal saw an increase of over 3,000 cars, which is impressive given the amount of territory the SoCal region covers. The small summer slump is noticeable on SoCal, but other servers remain pretty steady. Mohawk definitely benefited this year as their numbers are higher per month than last year. They came in at 6,672 cars, which is about an 800 car increase. The A-Line came up big though with over 4,400 more cars moved than in 2019. You guys put in a ton of work this year and it absolutely shows in these numbers. Almost all increases across all categories. On to the new categories for 2020. First up is Intermodal Trains. For the first time this year, the number of intermodal trains was tracked across all servers in the operations center. I believe this number is calculated by the number of trains ran on the Intermodal Trains page in the OC. This would be trains spawned in and ran to an intermodal facility on a server. This wouldn't count trains that originated at intermodal facilities, as these trains show as regular road trains. This would be due in part to our tracking intermodals coming into pad tracks to make sure we don't overflow facilities like Hobart, LA, San Bernardino, Jacks Ramp, Taft, and DeWitt. This makes sure we don't get an influx of trains waiting to work pad tracks and tying up main lines and sidings. With that being said, 388 intermodal trains were run in 2020. And there's some interesting numbers here. For once, SoCal has knocked off its throne, as in July, the A-Line comes out on top with 27, and in August, Mohawk ties it at 11. And then, in October, David beats Goliath as Mohawk ran 4 more intermodals than SoCal. Quite an accomplishment given the amount of trains SoCal generates. But after July, there appears to be an issue with the intermodal trains reporting on the A-Line, so some numbers are lost. The 388 total would definitely have been higher. Now for the unit trains. Again, following the same parameters as the intermodals, these numbers cover trains ran from the unit trains page in the operations center. 631 total unit trains were ran in 2020. SoCal will definitely win this category due to the sheer number of unit trains in our operations. Multiple grain trains, coal trains, and oil trains make these numbers tough to beat. It was a rough year for the A-Line and Mohawk as numbers were low, but the rebound was on into the late summer months. Mohawk rallied behind strong runs of RailX and automotive trains to come up close in September and then edge out SoCal in October. And the A-Line with the rally in December to beat SoCal again by just 1 train. The A-Line has a strong coal and auto rack business, so that's what likely drove the numbers into December. And our last category we'll cover is passengers served. When a station stop is made, the OC generates a number of passengers entering and exiting the train. A total of 57,252 people were moved across all 3 servers this year. That's the equivalent of a small town. SoCal and Mohawk were the best contenders in this category due to the flexibility of their passenger ops. The Metrolink operations around Los Angeles make it easy to get quick runs between LAUPT and Riverside, in addition to the long-distance Amtrak trains. The same can be said for Mohawk with the Hudson Line runs from Hudson to Schenectady and the ease of Main Line runs to Syracuse, which helps keep it in pace with SoCal during most months. The poor A-Line saw no passenger movement in January and February and still had some slow months, but some decent numbers given there are no commuter ops. Mohawk maintained good numbers all year long until December when they dwindled to just 44 passengers moved. And that'll do it for our 2020 year-in review. For our current Depot Plus members, thank you so much for all the work you put in running trains and keeping the servers moving. Without you guys, none of these numbers would be possible. And for those of you watching who would like to join us, you can. Go to www.thedepotserver.com and sign up on the website and in our forums. You'll find a very helpful community full of information about the sim and our operations. And if you want to become part of our Plus servers, you can apply on the website as well. After you apply and pass the small test on the application, you'll perform a check ride with one of our staff members to make sure you understand how to run a train, read signals, and so on. A link to our website will be in the description below. So thank you so much to our members. Let's do even better in 2021. As always, have fun and take care out there, guys.